Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. Happy St. Patrick's Day. The sun has come out and I am actually outside. I cannot believe it. After being so cold all winter, couldn't imagine getting out on the deck. And here we are. Well, have a very lovely tea set to show you today. And we're going to talk about St. Patrick and a couple of other of the Irish saints. And the tea set I have is actually from Scotland, and it's called Thistle, and it has quite a story for us. And St. Patrick was actually from Scotland, the royal house of Scotland, and as a young boy he was kidnapped, taken as a slave to Ireland, and treated very cruelly. He suffered greatly. Finally, after many years, he escaped and ran back, got on a boat and got back to his family. They had not known if he was dead or alive. And oh, he was so happy to be back in Scotland. However, the story goes, he had a dream or a vision, and it was all of these Irish people saying, "Come back to us. And come back and tell us the way," because St. Patrick was a true Christian, and he had suffered because at that time the Irish were very pagan, and they would come and just take slaves off the shores. If they could grab a young man that looked strong, take him to their land and make him work. Well, if you see this china, there is a thistle painted on each one. It is called Thistle by Buchanan from Scotland, and it's very close to Ireland. It is a stoneware, and it's a smoky blue-gray with the painted thistle. They're all hand done. And if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please pause, get your tea, and I will be waiting for you. We're listening to some Irish music in the background. We also have birds singing, and I hear sea sounds, so it's a mix. This pot is very heavy. It's filled and brimming with Irish tea. And I'm going to, here, I'll pull it up so you can see it's very hot. Do you see the steam coming? Pouring out. And the Irish, Welsh, Scottish tea is actually a mix of the Kenyan and the Assam and the English breakfast. And so here we are having, my dear Kenyan friends and students, I am still using this fabulous tea, and I love it. And here is the little picture. Each of these pieces are made so uniquely. That's the little cream pitcher in the sun with the thistle. And the sugar bowl, I don't use sugar, but I have it out. It is so special, very unique. And I have a little jewel spoon in it. And years and years ago, I mean way back, I was traveling in Scotland. I was singing. Oh my goodness, it's delicious. Now on these cups, the flower is painted so that it faces me. Some of the cups will face the other. That has the blue flower, but this has the thistle. See? Very delicious tea. Oh my, it's delicious. Well, when I was traveling in Scotland singing, and I had the privilege of going way far north on boat, bus, well, first train, then boat, then bus, then boat, out to the Hebrides, to the island of Lewis, and I got to go way up north. Oh my, it was so bleak. It's so bleak and cold and windy. When I was in the Hebrides, it was actually early summer, and it was cold. It was beautiful, bright, but freezing cold. And the waves would crash by the shore. And I had been, a dear friend named Tom Seaton from Oban had liked my music and arranged for me to go and sing in the Kirk. And the Kirk is known in Scotland as, I'm going to see if you can see my feather in my cap. The Kirk is, of course, Scotch Presbyterian. Now, a lot of them are still very strict. And if you are a lady, you must wear a hat to church. Well, and then people were warning me, oh, they're not going to let a lady sing in the Kirk. Ay, no. But here I came with my guitar. They opened wide the door. I sang. I loved them. They loved me. Afterwards, I remember standing outside the Kirk, and all the men and women were giving me their addresses, and I still have it upstairs. They were so warm and so kind and so happy to have an American come and sing to them. And that was my one of my Hebrides experiences. And you know, St. Patrick was up in that northern Scottish area. The Hebrides, if you look at the map of Great Britain, they are on the northwest. And right below them is Ireland. And so, anyway, back to the story of St. Patrick. He felt God calling him back, to go back. Imagine going back to the people who had persecuted you, enslaved you, taken years of your life, made you work for them. He had a deep love for God, and he felt he should go back. And back he went and became the most famous Christian in all of Ireland, went around bringing people God's love, doing miracles, helping the poor, establishing monasteries, they would set up hospitals, the only closest thing to a hospital, help the poor. In a monastery, they would use their resources to help people that were traveling through and needed to have a place to stay. And it was all service to their fellow man. Well, Patrick won their hearts, and they made him a saint. And he's the patron saint of Ireland. There's so much written about him. I have pictures of him, and wonderful person. And he's in that 4th and 5th century, right before, well, within St. David of Wales, and then you have St. Patrick of Ireland, and they're all royal house. They were royals. And St. Columba of Scotland. But interesting, St. Columba was really Irish. And he had to flee Ireland because they were going to kill him when he was young. That's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but he was involved in a battle. And he was very devout, and there had been a misunderstanding. And so he fled with, I think it was his 10 monks in a boat, and went up to, he didn't want to leave Ireland. He said, I'll go as close in Scotland so I can still see Ireland. And that was Iona, the Isle of Mull, in the Hebrides. And you can go there today. And that is the most beautiful Christian pilgrimage. People come from literally all over the world to Iona. And there's still ruins there, and they've restored the buildings. And I think I've done an entire tea talk in the past about St. Columba and Iona. So we will quickly go over that today. But isn't it interesting that having Scottish china fits for St. Patrick? Really, the Celtic people, they're the same people. It would be almost like living in the state of Oregon and the state of Washington or the state of California. That's how close they were in location, with the sea separating them. However, much smaller landmass. Incredible how small the landmass actually is, and yet it feels spacious because you're surrounded by water. And that's what an island does. It gives you twice as much room. Your view of the water gives you an expanded feeling, and so you don't feel crowded. Now these are Irish songs that are playing. I'm going to move it ahead. Well, I guess we'll just have that for now. It's called Irish music, probably what you'd hear on St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. Well, I have a little treat for the tea table, and especially the children. And when I was in Ireland, I had the wonderful experience of staying with a family, and believe it or not, their name was Harper. And they lived in Kilkenny. There were 7 brothers. I've talked about that. My girlfriends and I were traveling around, and they took us home to their farm and insisted on having us stay with them, and took us all around Southern Ireland in the month of May when it was as green as it ever gets. It was gorgeous. But the lady of the farm said, would you like a biscuit? And we said, oh, yes. Well, this was a biscuit. What we call a cookie, they call a biscuit. And so I have ginger biscuits and Scotch shortbread, which is very Irish also, and was contributed to the tea table by Lady Katie of Kirkland. Yes, she and her family came to visit me and brought this lovely shortbread for the tea table. So happy St. Patrick's Day. And her husband has red hair and plays the bagpipes. Well, someday we'll have to have him come and play for us on the tea table. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I have one other little item. This little thistle set has the most unique, this is like a little for vinegar or anything, any special sauce you want to put on your tea table, or it could be for special cream. If you wanted to have milk and cream, or a little hot milk, you know, it's just so cute. And what I started to tell you, when I was in Scotland, I wanted to buy my mother a little souvenir. And I had in the little shops you stop along the way, they were so authentic in those days. They had these pieces of this thistle china. And I saw the creamer and sugar. I couldn't take much back, and I was a young girl just singing, and so I didn't have a lot of money, and I thought I'll get my mother a creamer and sugar. So I bought them for her as a gift. And she loved them. She used them. She had them in her china closet. I forgot all about it. I totally forgot about them. And then when my husband and I got married, in Seattle, down at Pioneer Square, was a lovely Scottish-Irish shop called The Rose and the Thistle. And they had genuine imports. And we were choosing china and stoneware. And we saw this lovely stoneware that, because we love Scottish things, and it was called thistle. And so we decided that's what we would get for our wedding, part of our wedding china at stoneware. And so we got it, and I had the whole set, and I set it up once. My parents came for dinner, and I had thistles I dried in the middle of the table, and everything goes so nice with this color because you've got the purples, the blues, and the smoky bluey gray with the green. I think I had a green cloth and purple napkins, and then the dried thistles, which actually, if you get them just right, they'll last for a long time. If you don't get them right, they blow away. But my mother said, "Oh, I have the creamer and sugar to that set you gave to me." And I said, "Really? Didn't even remember." And so she brought it to me. So wasn't that all the way around the world coming back to me? I mean, that was so special. And I think anything that when you travel and you want to get something little for someone, a tea item is easy because it's small. In fact, I used to collect teaspoons, and a lot of people did. And then actually in England, people here put them on a wall or display them. In England, they sit right on the tea cart or tea table, and they have all the different places people have been, and each one takes a different teaspoon. And it makes it really an interesting conversation piece. And it's an easy souvenir to bring home. I just ran into a lovely friend I hadn't seen for so long. She and her 2 daughters and their husbands are going to England the end of May, and they're going to Bath, and they have all kinds of relatives she found, and they're going to visit family in Brighton and all these places. It sounds fabulous. So people are traveling again. So nice. Travel is the most important thing young people can do. I consider it the greatest privilege. Every journey I have in my heart, it means more now than ever. And it really made me who I am. It broadened me. I met people that were from other countries but had the same heart that I had. And when you go to a church, you meet a whole family. That's your Christian family there. Travel is fabulous, and I really encourage everyone, if you possibly can, and do as much as you can when you're young, because you're free and you don't have all the responsibilities. And when you do travel, study ahead so you don't miss out on the things that are in the area you are traveling to. Well, I'm wearing a Scottish shawl today, an Irish shawl today, and I have some jewelry on. I don't know if you can see it on there, but this is really special. This is from the Irish shop, and it's a Celtic cross, really old with the woven, reproduction, but it's the Celtic that has all of the unending pattern, which means eternity, and I think it has St. Patrick on it. I don't know for sure, but it looks like it's several monks. And then up here we have this crosses, and then I have my little Celtic cross that I wear every day, that my daughter and son-in-law gave me for my birthday. I think it was last year, from Ireland. I wear this every day. I love it. Perfect size. And this is kind of that Roman Celtic look. And I know why, because when I was in Ireland, I got to go to Trinity College, and that's where the big museum is in Dublin. And they have the Book of Kells there, and many artifacts. And in the basement was an entire room of Roman jewelry that had been excavated from Ireland, and so much of it looked like this and looked like our jewelry. I mean, jewelry hasn't really changed that much. And I'm wearing a bracelet that I feel, they have a lot of stones that they're not expensive because they're very earthy stones, but I think they're so pretty. I hope you can see those. And then I have kind of a bracelet that reminds me, and a ring, of the green Irish stones, and they have crosses everywhere. Ireland is very special, and you know, the Celtic cross, which is the cross with the circle, you know, that is original, and that's from the Celtic church, which was formed in this time in Ireland. It was actually St. Finnegan and St. Paulinus and St. David, and then St. Patrick and St. Columba in Scotland, and they literally Christianized Britain, and they are considered, they brought civilization. They are really so amazing. And then Columba, he sent his missionaries out across the continent of Europe by 2. This is in the 500s. And they went brave, on foot. They always went on foot. They considered it part of their, I guess, their calling, their duty. They would go forth on foot. And, you know, St. David, I talked about him. He lived to be 99 years old. He ate a very simple diet. And maybe that was his secret. I mean, very simple. But I have something here that's really special to me. Well, first of all, I want to show you this hat. This is my husband's hat that I gave to him from the Irish shop. And I gave it to him for his birthday, and he absolutely loves it. He wears it. It's called a flat cap. Here's a smaller one I had. This is more for a child. That's what I want to show you. It's from Muckross Weaver's Workshop in Muckross House, Killarney, Ireland. It's made in Ireland. It has all the different tweeds kind of woven together, so you have a little bit of everything. It's so beautiful. It's so well made. Well, that Muckross shop, we were told, interestingly enough, they take no money for themselves. It must be like a monastic order or the nuns, and they do this, and then all of the money goes to charity. And I bought this for him at the Irish shop in Coeur d'Alene. If you ever go to Coeur d'Alene, it's a fabulous shop. Well, you know, I graduated last year with my doctorate in church history, and my specialty really is the Middle Ages. That's where I love, and especially the Celtic church, which we're talking about today. Well, my husband bought me this as a gift at the Irish shop, and it's St. Brendan's Boat. It is a very famous, and I believe it is also made at the same place the hats are. And it's a curragh, or a skin-covered boat, with the helmsman urging on 4 oarsmen as they strike heavensward amid a sea of crosses. Note the boat is vertical on the staff of the original Cleilmator pillar, standing in a field above Bantry Bay, West Cork. The amazing, accurate depiction of oarsmen dates from the early Christian period. It may celebrate St. Brendan, who is the 6th century, that's 500s, with his crew of 4. They discovered America some 1,000 years before Columbus. Mythically, it depicts the journey of every man sailing across uncharted, perilous seas to reach heaven or hell, or the church ferrying its flock to heaven through seas of adversity. And there it is. And it hangs on the wall. And I love this. Now, something very special about St. Brendan. Did you know the American Navy has chosen St. Brendan as their patron saint? He's the patron saint of the American Navy. So that's going to include the Marines also. Isn't that amazing? And he is so special. I am going to do a tea talk on him later, but I felt he comes right in. He's right in this same family of wonderful Irish, Celtic, Wales, Scottish, the church. Beautiful. As I said, they fed the poor, they gave alms, they were the first hospitals, they taught the children to read and write, they were literate, they copied God's word. And they copied, and it's called the Book of Kells, the most beautiful copy. Some monks devoted their entire lives to copying one section. And it's preserved today in Trinity College. It hasn't faded. No one knows the original ink they used or their method of chemicals. It's so beautiful. Look up Book of Kells, Kells. You can go on a virtual tour of all of this. If you can't travel, you can travel online. We live in a day no one imagined we would have this privilege to learn and know so much. Well, for my fashion people that ask me, please bring a purse. I love purses too. This is so perfect. It is made in Great Britain, and I'm going to fasten it here. It's made of pure Irish, Scottish wool, and it has the tusk for a button, and it's a real tusk. It's not, this is all real leather. It's got a complete design with it, and it's a purse, a lady's purse. It matches, I think, my outfit, and I'm wearing my favorite hat today. This is my hat. It has actually the McDonald crest, and it has the Isle of Skye on that, which says by land and sea. But actually, my family, though I'm not a McDonald, goes into this. My son went to the Scottish Fair, and I guess they can help everyone get in every tribe. We're the Hendry, which goes into the McNaughton. My husband is a Davis, so we got both sides, but this somehow goes into this crest also. And it says by land and sea. And I love it. I love the sea. I love the feeling of the real sea, whether it's an ocean, a bay, a river. There's something so wonderful about the Irish, Scottish sea. It creates this music, and up in those cold, blustery islands are the sheep, and they grow such woolly, wonderful coats that it makes the wonderful wool and creates this different tweeds, the Harris tweeds, and what I'm wearing, and then this purse, and then they wear them. Isn't that wonderful? God's plan is so great. The sheep, and you don't have to kill the sheep. You just give him a haircut and he can keep going. That's what I love about it. The sheep are so wonderful. They're so gentle. The lamb is the most beautiful animal. Well, I think it takes the cold weather for them to grow the thick, uh, fur that they have, the lamb's pelt. Because once my daughter and I were in Budapest, Hungary, and we saw a hat. We wanted it so much. It was huge, black and white, and it was called Siberian Rabbit. I've never seen a pelt like that. And I thought that's because it's so cold, they have to grow a coat so thick. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And happy, blessed St. Patrick's Day. Have your corned beef and cabbage, your soda bread, and your good Irish tea. Have some good friends to have a nice Irish evening together. Wear some green, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'm getting more and more people, and it's hard for me to send out notices to get to all of you. I don't want to leave anyone out. Please subscribe to my channel. It's free. Push the notification bell. Push the like button if you like it. And share with a friend. This is for everyone. And the rest will be history. Have a fabulous week. God bless. Happy, happy St. Patrick's Day.